My name is Max. I'm here with the founder of LUKSO, and this is day 2 of learning all about why this is the biggest blockchain to pay attention to in 2024 and beyond. We're going to be going into, this office here, personal views of Fabian, and maybe what inspired him, going back to his personal life, seeing a little bit about his house, and some secrets in there, some surprises. We'll learn all about it. So let's get into this.
So that's what we usually do.
Yeah.
We hang out on the rooftops, and we make
Little photos. I mean, I love this. This is like
people also get free snacks and free drinks. But let's go to the rooftop. Let's check out the environment because we're in a very interesting spot. As you can see, things are pink.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Why? What's the
because we bring in the
inspiration
female energy to blockchain.
The feminine.
The feminine energy, exactly.
The
Let's
feminine
go.
and the masculine. Okay. All right.
Let's go up. Yeah.
So this is the pink pill that everyone's been talking about.
The pink pill is even on the walls. And
So
we are very lucky and fortunate that we have a rooftop. So we have a beautiful rooftop, which specifically in the summer, when it's not gray Berlin,
Wow.
it's noise.
Yeah, this is nice. This is something.
And that's the Zen mode. So this is a nice place to meditate and also, for the team together in summer.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally the first summer we have these mattresses. So
Yeah.
hence, we have to see how the usage goes. But I mean, all of this here was prepared, not only for the people who work here, but really specifically also for the LUKSO hub, right? For people that gather, come. I mean, event space. The space here can also be used for meetups and other things. So it's all about the community on the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why these two offices exist.
Are you picturing like hundreds of people or I mean,
Oh, we already had some
were
events, and there were quite a lot of people here.
Yeah. The Berlin blockchain. I mean, it was what was the name of the party?
It was a Blockhouse party,
Blockhouse party.
basically Berlin Blockchain Week, I
Yeah.
think.
How many people? It was like
There were 300 people here in this office.
oversubscribed too. No?
So we totally had
Yeah.
all the people from Berlin Blockchain Week probably show up here,
Yeah.
or at least half got in.
Yeah.
Let's say. Yeah, we have also this nice water with always people like either sailing or ruddering. So yeah, it's nice. Sun is shining.
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, this place here too, they host events. You can go out.
Yeah, there's always something happening, and this place is actually just upcoming.
Where exactly are we for the viewers watching? Like, we're in East Berlin,
East Berlin, yeah.
but what is this area considered? Like, is this?
So, I mean, in the past, this was pretty much, as you can see, factory land.
Yeah.
Lots of clubs are here. Actually, Sisyphus is right there. Ostkreuz is where all the Berlin clubs are,
Yeah.
for the ones who want to come. And there's a lot of waterways. In fact, I heard there was this poster once that Berlin has more bridges than Venice, or more channels than Venice, and more bridges than Venice and more channels than Amsterdam.
So what's a typical day looking like for LUKSO? I mean, you come here to the office. What time? Like 9 a.m.
We basically start mostly at 9. I mean, our team is distributed, so not everybody is in Berlin.
Yeah.
People also come over here for a week or so. I mean, it's very flexible and it's very fluid.
Yeah.
On the end, it's all about getting things done.
How big is the team right now? Like.
So the dev team is around 20 people.
Yeah.
And then we have the operational part of it. Then there's the creative team that's a bit smaller. I mean, ideally in the future we are growing a lot more because there's so much to build.
Yeah.
I mean, building, the standards, building the tools for the standards, building the mobile app, the product extension, the apps. I mean, the apps and the things that we are building, they're kind of like showcase what the standards can do. It's completely open. Everybody could build this stuff, but because we have the knowledge, obviously we invented it. We know the best how to showcase it and really show what can be done in what ways. So there's a lot of things to build. We are very much in the early days of building this out, and on the end, it will be everybody contributing because it's completely an open standard. Everything is completely open and flexible.
Yeah.
And that makes it actually so powerful and interesting.
Where do you think your inspirations come from in terms of you obviously like to be around nature and different sort of spots, but I mean, in terms of like inspiring the team and inspiring the whole culture of LUKSO, where do you feel like those are coming to you in a typical day?
I mean, my typical day is very stressful. I think I'm challenging. I'm channeling this all like from the cosmos. It's all coming from Series B, downloaded, and then expressed, and navigation. I'm navigating it all. I'm the master orchestrator in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is not coming without its challenges, because I'm not the sole decision maker within this company and also the foundation, and then on top of this you have like a whole community.
Yeah.
So it's not always as easy as it should be, could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the inspiration really, like, it's kind of like I got thrown into this, like, I mean, when I worked at Ethereum, I mean, I was working really at the early days of like, blockchain tech in general, like the way we interact with DApps and the way even how DApps kind of load.
Yeah.
And when I proposed ERC 725, which at the time was the first smart contract account standard, I didn't know that I would go really like rabbit deep into that specific part, and with LUKSO and a smart contract account at the core, which is essential, which is ERC 725 account, fully developed. I mean, I really had to like completely like build it out, and over time it all started out kind of as this like first idea, and I knew there was a lot more things and a lot more pieces that need to be added. So it was a little like looking through like kind of milky glass. It's kind of a bit blurry of how the details on the end will block together. And over the last years, that all like came together like perfectly, like a puzzle. And now it's a crystal. Like now it's there. It functions. The standards are there, and this is the foundation. Because if you have anything that you can't change on blockchain, or you can't change because once there's adoption, people don't want it to change, it's the smart contracts. Right? That's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
You can upgrade an interface. You can upgrade a website. You can change a wallet. You can change pictures of an NFT, whatever. But you can't modify and massively change the smart contract standards.
Yeah.
Specifically when different apps and wallets already have included it.
Yeah.
Then you would break all that stuff.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
Hence why this stuff needs to be right.
Yeah.
That took so long, to get this right. That took actually since 2017, where I initiated it, and specifically the last 3 years to fully build it out.
Yeah. I mean, my follow-up would be like, what would you tell the Fabian that was starting this again? What are some tips you would sort of point to him?
Don't start
on this journey.
Don't even try. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, sincerely, if I would have known, the amount of work that goes into doing this, I wouldn't have done it.
No. I feel like that's the founders.
Then I would have been probably completely depressed because I don't follow my calling.
Yeah.
But the amount of work that went into just making this, and even just like becoming a leader or a boss of a company. I mean, that was never my intention. I never wanted to lead the team or whatever. I just wanted to build my stuff.
Yeah.
But at some point, when you build something that's as complex as this, can't be one person. You need people that help you build it. Right?
Yeah.
It's impossible to do as a single person. So now then you be more the orchestrator.
Yeah.
And even just getting the right team up, and it takes time.
Yeah.
And it takes patience, and it takes dedication.
Yeah. I mean, what's the biggest difference you see from being an orchestrator to just being the developer and being a piece of the puzzle? I mean, you're sort of...
I mean, if you're coding, it's like you're orchestrating code. You put this piece here, you put this piece there, and then you press run, and it works,
Yeah.
When you're orchestrating a team and the ideas, you need to make everybody understand why should this work this way, how does it work, why is it there, and then make them kind of like build these pieces, and then they all need to come together. And in what we build, it's not one smart contract and then you build an interface on top, right? In order to make a smart contract account fully come to life, you need to build a smart contract account. You need to build the interface. You want to have a transaction relay service so people have like a gas-free experience or gasless experience, yeah? You need to build the creation flow, right? Because you want this to also be open, because anybody should create these profiles down the road. So you just don't want to, make one custom way that you are controlling. You want it to build and that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Then you need to build the developer tool so people can easily interact with this stuff.
Yeah.
And there's 5 other things that need to exist for this to really, on the end, become usable and developable. Developers can do it, and so it's just really this orchestration of all of these pieces. And they all need to plug together. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And only when they plug together, that's when you see, oh, that's how it works. Oh, that's actually how it could look like. Oh, this is what I can do with it. And this is now what I can build on it,
Yeah.
All the things only become clear when all the pieces are together.
Mm-hmm.
And that orchestration is quite challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, ERC20 was a lot easier, right?
Right.
Even the first wallets was a lot easier.
What made it easy? What was the...
I mean, on the end, a wallet was just a private key and you just read the balance.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a send function.
Right.
And ERC20 was the same thing, just you read it now from a smart contract instead of from the blockchain directly. So you read the balance and then you have a send function.
Yeah. And now?
And a wallet is kind of just that. And with a smart contract account, you basically have your smart contract account. Then you have multiple controller keys. They have different levels of permission. Mm-hmm. You need to basically have the ability to update this permission, to showcase this permission. Any app should be able to, update this permission. You have profile images. You have any data that could be attached to this. There is reactivity, so your account can react on incoming stuff. You need to display this in a different form. You need to react on this in an automatic way. In Universal Profiles, the default reaction that we do is that you write any token you receive into your profile so that it creates a decentralized portfolio. Mm-hmm. Any of this kind of stuff, you now need to build the flows for it. You need to build the tools to read this data out. You need to now, it's like a 50x more complex than a private key wallet in that sense. With the developer experience, the standards are more complex, but most people do not actually even need to know how they work. Because the cool thing, because of blockchain and smart contracts, the way this works, you can basically hide all the complexity that goes into how your profile acts and how it verifies permission and what the browser extension is taking care of. And on the end, your developer experience is literally the same like with MetaMask. You connect the browser extension, same like you would connect the MetaMask wallet, and then you make your transaction, and all the magic is figured out for you. The developer tools help you with easily reading data from a profile, be it profile data or be it any arbitrary data that people want to attach. So on the end, it's the developer tools that, specifically ER75JS and others that really make your interaction with profiles fairly simple. It's more complex under the hood, but this is because it's so open, it's so flexible. There's so many things you can build and you can do now, which makes the whole thing actually so interesting. It's all about the tools on the end that make it simple. And people don't need to understand as much as they think they need to understand sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, what is the first thing that probably the biggest thing that they need to probably you recommend that they know before even going in?
I think there's one really interesting concept, and what makes a smart contract account, and specifically, universal profiles, which can hold information, different than any of the things we had before, right? And the big difference is, there's this very nice, picture that you can have. Currently, when you're dealing with blockchain, it's like, imagine you have multiple games or platforms or DApps or whatever, right? And even in Web 2, that's exactly the way it is you basically have different houses. And all of these houses, you need to have different furnitures and all your different stuff. And when you go from one platform to another, right, you change your account. So you have to upload your profile picture again, you have no followers, no friends, whatever. You need to always start from scratch because each house is totally isolated. With universal profiles, it's kind of like you have your van has everything, and now you drive from each place to each place and you bring your whole house with you.
Yeah.
It's already in your profile. It's already with you no matter where you go. And then you can just go to these houses and have a good time without that you have to reestablish everything, from scratch.
Yeah, interesting. In your career, I mean, when you were first developing, did anyone recommend you anything, like any tips that stuck along your journey?
I mean, fun fact, the whole idea of universal profiles, ERC725 account as the smart contract account. I mean, that idea, the very early version of the idea came actually from Jeffrey Wilke. So when we were building the Mist browser back in 2015, before even Ethereum started, Jeffrey said something, and he said, hey, we should not expose private keys or public keys to the DApps. We should only use smart contracts as the account. And that's exactly the idea of what universal profile and smart contract accounts are. It's all about just hiding the private keys, abstracting them away, and using your smart contract account as your actual account. Obviously, he said this 3 months before we started Ethereum mainnet, and that was a great idea, and he was right, and I felt he was right, but we were just like so far off from even making this possible. Right? There was not even fully the understanding of what we can do with smart contracts and how people will use it. There was no ERC20. There was we were very early stage, so all these ideas of how you manage the keys and where they are and how you would you upgrade them, how would you change this, all of this was just literally non-existent. So it was way too early for that idea, but the idea was there already. You know? And then that was actually kind of what inspired ES725 account, ES725 in 2017 in its early version. That came out of this idea, and Universal Profiles is the fully developed version of that. So took just 7 years.
And probably another 7 to develop even more. I mean, it's going to become even more complex.
I mean, it's the foundation. So the foundation is now here. The foundation is developed, and the foundation is functional and usable. And now it's literally comes to what people do with it. What apps they build, what controller apps they build to control and manage your profile. What things people come up with the fact that you can now store information at a blockchain account. All the social stuff can now happen on blockchain.
Decentralized social.
The foundation of this is now here. It's just your profile.
Yeah.
And from now on, the sky is the limit. So we can now finally move beyond the token part and go to
the DApps, the actual, the use cases. I mean,
the actual people using apps.
Yeah.
The actual users.
But I saw a post by Vitalik on the narrative of this run is, decentralized social is one of the ones that everyone is talking about. I mean, do you see this next version of decentralized social being built using these standards? And, for the guy that's, thinking about building this, next Facebook, next TikTok, next whatever, I guess, what are some things that you would love to see in a decentralized social sort of concept?
I mean, I would love to see, decentralized, Farcaster, for example, could easily plug into universal profiles.
Yeah.
It's actually the better foundation for Farcaster. Any kind of this post and messaging systems, decentralized YouTube, all of these ideas were already there a few years ago, but it always lacked on the user experience, and it lacked on the fact that there was no proper account system. Because a wallet is not a proper account system.
Yeah.
And actually, let's go down to the water while we continue chatting. But it's it's all about now using the ability that you can store information on your account,
right?
And doing everything you want to do with social, for example. And also people need to understand you do not need to put everything on chain, right? The account is what keeps your core information, allows you to act on chain with tokens or protocols of some sort. But most of the messaging systems will be off-chain, like Farcaster or Blue Sky. These are their own decentralized, message passing systems. And so you use this profile at the core as the account, but then you can build all of these off-chain and different distributed systems around that to make this scalable. So the sky's the limit here, really. I think what's really important to understand is that so far, blockchain hasn't really been really being used. And that's kind of a crazy thing if you think about it. We had all of these, market caps and everything, but so far everything is still about trading. It's still about tokens,
meme coins,
DeFi, meme coins, right?
I mean, why do you think that is? Why is no one paying attention to the actual projects that have built the tech that's really running this?
I think it's simple. If everything is a wallet in blockchain by default, right? If it's all just about wallets, then everything will be about trading, right? And everything will be about whatever has to do with tokens. And exactly that's why we need to get away from this idea that your blockchain account is only a wallet. Your blockchain account is a profile. It's an account, and then it becomes everything else, right? Yes, it can hold tokens. Yes, it can transact. Yes, it can interact with protocols, and forms of money or whatever. But it is more than that, and it's a profile. That's what people should understand.
Yeah.
A profile that's a wallet and an account at the same time.
And this one profile essentially is what follows you throughout your blockchain future.
about your digital life,
Yeah.
I mean, you will have multiple profiles for different environments, and some are anonymous and some are public.
Right.
But on the end, the profile is what enables then users that do not want to just invest, but
Yeah.
people that want to do something that has to do with like your friends, your circles. I mean, the power that we have with DAOs and with communities managing themselves and also transacting economic value or reputational value, that's something you can't do in Web 2, right? You can't take your account from one place to another, and you can't transact without a third-party middleman. And that, really gives a lot of possibilities of what can be done now.
Yeah.
At large, in social. The fact that we don't really have a creator economy that's independent of a single platform. It's crazy. We're like 20 plus years in the internet.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally 30 plus years in the internet, right?
Yeah.
But 20 years since it's really hype with social. And we're still in this very early phase. And we still don't really have we have just Twitter thinking about, paying out people with a lot of followers, right?
Right.
YouTube is keeping what they pay out to followers at a minimum. Like, you have to have millions of views to even get anything.
Right.
And the thing is, people are probably very willing to give and contribute. See Patreon, right? You see
Yes.
people, they want to give if they believe in a content creator. But right now it's just so complicated, right? You need to sign up, and you need to sign up on a different platform, or you need to add your payment details to YouTube, and maybe you don't really want to do that. You have to make 5 clicks and 10 steps, even just to give somebody $1.
Yeah.
Or some kind of form of appreciation. If this is built into your account, if your account is basically an economical actor by default, then now everything can literally be a transaction wherever you are.
Right.
So the platform doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah. And
They don't even need to support that, and you could still do that.
Yeah, and you're the sole owner. I mean, still in the social media world right now, you're at the mercy of these big corporate giants. If you don't say the right things that they want, your account's gone and you just lost your job.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is where you see the difference, is with a smart account, a universal profile, this is with you forever. No one can actually block you. But what about the people that, maybe not have the best intentions? What happens with, are they still able to monetize as well? How do you see that?
I mean, so this is more like a question, not about okay, should we? I mean, there's 2 choices we can have, right?
Yeah.
Choice 1 is we have some, benevolent dictators that decide on what is right and wrong and what's good and bad and who has the right to make money or participate somewhere and who not. Or we need to find ways that, that solve it in a different means. And for example, when social media started, right, you always have a flag button. When enough people flagged, content was removed or content was not visible anymore. Those systems can now be decentralized. Community nodes on Twitter, right, or X, is kind of in a way kind of decentralized community that randomly is chosen, and then they can vote on content, and over time, hopefully you find more truthful, additions to a certain content piece. But I think this is exactly the future of how we solve this. We need to find protocols, like Clerk, for example, is a protocol, in the blockchain space that tries to find, and negotiate around content. We can find ways that people are incentivized in some way to find the things, but ideally in such a way that they can't collude, and you then have again this group forming that try to push their agendas or truth. And on top of this, I think the real future will be you pick your algorithm. You pick the algorithm that you want to see.
Right.
And you can then instruct your algorithm. Ideally, it's AI based, and you can modify that AI. And then you can say, I want to see more of this or less of this.
Yeah.
And then it's your choice. And then you can have pre-audited, pre-curated algorithm that you can pick, or you can really customize it to your wishes. And this way people can pick and choose.
Yeah.
Because on the end, it should be our choice to choose what we want to see and why we want to see it and how we want to see it.
Yeah.
Sure, we can all agree as society that certain things are good and bad, and obviously there's certain things that are clearly bad, violence, child abuse and so on, and this is clearly a no-go. But if you would build these systems in a decentralized way, that's the stuff that anyway would be blocked, very likely. I mean, except you're a creep.
Yeah.
And then it's a niche. And nicely on blockchain, you can even track that. So you can put them faster in jail.
Yeah.
So
Right. And also for advertising too, do you see the same sort of thing where it's like you get to choose what? I mean, it's already sort of coming there, but it's still not fully cracked yet, where you're seeing exactly what you want to see.
I mean, this is actually a nice little bridge here, but this is actually where the boats are. But let's go here. Let's go to the Crazy Bridge.
Looks like a little meditative spot.
Oh, there's like some cool spots here. When it comes to what we can do now in this new world it's very different, because we have now, it's not anymore isolated platforms, because the data in the background is the blockchain. And the blockchain is already a shared database, right? All the interactions that happen on the blockchain is already shared between all the platforms. So now websites and platforms only become windows into the same data. So now the advertisement model that we had so far, where because you control the platform and you control the data and it's like all in your place, advertisement in that sense made sense. Now it's changing a little bit. You can have, sure, in this new world, a great window. You have a popular window. People want to use your window into the data.
Yeah.
But you do not own the data anymore itself, because it's already sitting on this decentralized ledger. So we can now rethink how advertisement work, or the attention model will still play a role, but I do believe it will go down in popularity, and it's going to be more towards distributed forms of how people pay each other. I guess also platforms could be donated to, right? If you have a great window and people appreciate that, maybe they're willing to contribute something to that. And we can come up with protocols, that somehow incentivize people and content creators in completely new forms, And I don't have all the solutions for the future in my mind.
Yeah.
But the sky is the limit, right? Because it's a very different infrastructure at the core.
Yeah, it's a fascinating sort of space, but also a much needed space to also evolve into, because at the moment, a lot of people are voicing their opinions.
We have a UFO.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on over here? This is
We have a UFO.
Is this where they landed?
That's where the aliens landed that gave me all the knowledge.
That's okay,
parking right in front of the office, as you can see.
That makes complete sense now. So these guys...
It all comes together. Yeah, they're from Series B.
So the aliens came here, gave the idea, and now we're decentralized social.
Yeah, that's how the whole thing actually... This is the secret behind LUKSO.
There we go, guys. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we caught
it. The secret. We just revealed it. No, it's actually really nice to have a waterfront in front of your office.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. I mean, do you own all these yachts?
By the way, totally. I mean, actually, this is from our, from Kesha, who's doing yoga, and actually that boat is from 1934 or something like this, or 36, like totally Nazi-Reich built.
Wow.
Still swimming.
Fabian, what was, I guess, the most memorable moment so far in this journey?
I mean, on the first off, like the whole journey is, it's really about resilience. You need to stay on it and you need to continue building.
Yeah.
With all the ups and downs, I mean, I think I learned a big one on resilience.
Yeah.
I mean, when we launched Mainnet, last year, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Because the mainnet was not on the end like the really hard work. The hard work was all these smart contract standards. But getting finally the network live and then seeing that it was launched by people, decentralized. 10,000 validator keys, started the network, and then it's running, and the validator amount is now 140,000 validators. That it is running, that it's decentralized, and that it's really like, you know, that this worked out exactly the way we wanted. I mean, that's very positive and very encouraging to see. Because you can always launch a network kind of centralized, say it's decentralized, and then kind of slowly transition to this, but we launched 100% that way.
Right. And what was the reason for that? I mean,
because we want to create a decentralized network, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the future, if you want to have a decentralized account, you know, and if you want to decentralize the world, that cannot run on like fake decentralization.
Right.
Because then sooner or later you run into the same old problems that you have right now.
Right.
So it needs to be on the right foundation. That's an essential thing.
I mean, the current space right now, right? Like, don't you think a lot of it, they say it's decentralized, but it's not truly decentralized?
No.
You think LUKSO is that true version of a protocol that...
I mean, at its early stage where it is right now, it's highly decentralized.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's around 800 nodes, so 800 different node providers running nodes.
Yeah.
And for the size that LUKSO is right now, that's extremely big. I mean, and this is just the validator nodes. There's probably more nodes running the network.
Right.
And if you look at other networks, they even now, you know, I think Solana has 1,500 validating nodes.
Right.
So, I mean, on the end, you know, the whole battle in blockchain in the last years was about, okay, we do the better blockchain, we have the better consensus, we compete with Ethereum, blah, blah, blah. The truth is they figured out they couldn't, or they didn't have the better consensus. And then now they're becoming L2s, right? Because they realize, oh, it's actually better to have the security of Ethereum.
Yeah.
LUKSO is Ethereum. It's an Ethereum twin. Yes, it doesn't have the exact same number of validators yet, but it's also young. The moment traction comes around the network, the security goes up, the number of validators go up, and eventually it will even be able to compete with Ethereum in terms of security. It is on the end the same tech, and in my opinion, that is the most sophisticated tech, because the Ethereum community has all these researchers, you know, all these research groups. I mean, I have worked at the Go Ethereum team for 3 years. You know, I know that this is the people that really care about decentralization and doing it the right way. And honestly, that's why I believe in. We on the other hand, we develop and innovate on the smart contract level, on the standards. And you need a new network for this, because the network effect that we need in order to build on the better foundations needs to be on a new network where there's not already a network effect around an existing token standard, around ERC20, around like all these backwards compatible tools that like literally missing half of the stuff. It needed to be a clean slate, and a clean slate can only be achieved on a new network.
Yeah.
Hence why it's a new network. And on top of this, you also need cheaper gas, you know, and you need to be able to subsidize initially. So that there's a proper transaction relay service economy that can build up, same like your mobile phone providers, right? So that then we have, even without the gas subsidization, like an easy onboarding for users. So that's the way. It's the only way that I could see. It has to be a new network from the scratch.
Yeah. Before any founder sort of gets in their journey of creating something, they're always inspired by great entrepreneurs themselves. I mean, in your journey, have you been inspired by anyone that sort of showed you that, you know, betting on yourself and creating something from nothing is, you know, a world that you want to step into?
I mean, for me, it's not about like, I mean, there's a lot of like, you know, hype about my person, but that's actually, I actually don't like that at all. For me, it's about the idea, you know, that matters, and the tech that matters. I mean, if I look up to someone, you know, I would say Elon Musk does a great job. What he has done is it's insane, you know, like against all odds, you know, building a car company that literally became now the thriving factor for electric cars in the world. Right? They are still 2 years ahead of everyone else. I mean, what Apple has been doing is extremely impressive.
Right, it's Steve.
I mean, probably the way Steve Jobs worked was not the nicest, I guess, is what I heard. But he had like a vision as well, you know. I mean,
do you relate with a lot of these guys, like in terms of their stories and like?
No, I'm relating with like the challenges.
The challenges, right?
They face, because I face the same. So
I mean,
similar challenges.
walk
I
us through
guess.
some of those. Like, what is some of the things that like a founder has to go through that most people probably in their life, if they're working a regular job.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not so sure if I can talk much about the founder thing because honestly, I'm just like figuring this shit out anyway.
Yeah.
But what I realize is like when you have a vision and when you really see something and you can already see that this is it and this is the way it will work and that needs to exist for stuff to move forward. When you see that picture and you see that vision,
Yeah.
it's challenging because everybody else will take time to catch up.
Right.
You know, it takes at least sometimes years. I mean, in this case, we're working on this since like 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time for people to catch on, right? And then explaining it and really like, you know, drawing the picture and then manifesting it with the right people into existence and then still explaining it. That's challenging, you know? Because you already see it like 5 years before that, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of more or less, you know, clear.
Yeah.
And it still takes so much more time to get it into reality and then even get people to understand why is that important.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, you become like a repetition robot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, on the end.
What keeps you going in terms of like you see that vision, but you know every time you sort of want to give up, you have this like thought of like no, I can't. Like, do you usually have those thoughts?
I mean, I just know that this needs to exist.
Right.
I mean, this needs to exist. This is the missing piece that needs to exist. And I haven't seen it anywhere else being done right or even closely to fully see that picture. And I haven't seen it back then and I don't even see it yet. I see the early versions of something that we now already finalized. So what keeps me going is I know this needs to go. This needs to come. It needs to go out. So,
And is now the time?
oh, it's out. The time
Yeah.
is here. I mean, obviously, you know, Universal Profile as a foundation, you know, for anything new, you know, in the internet, really, it's there. Obviously, there's a lot of apps we can build. There's a lot of, you know, apps to manage your profiles and interact with things. There's a lot of stuff to build on top of this. Better recoveries, and it can be extended like to the endless,
Yeah.
you know. But the basics are here, right? The foundation is here, and that was the real innovation on the end.
Yeah.
That was the tough one, to get that thing from a blurry picture into a crystal sharp existing reality.
Yeah. And the vision's clear now, and you know exactly where this can go.
I mean, now it's about educating people to see oh, there's this tool, now I can do all of these things.
Yeah.
That, you know, people discussed this in the last years already many times, but it just couldn't be done because the user experience was bad, or because you just couldn't attach information to an account. So half of the stuff you want to do, you can't even do.
Yeah.
It's now there, so now we can do that.
Do you still feel like there's a gap of knowledge for like someone that's completely brand new, sort of learning about blockchain? Like, how did you sort of learn the initial?
I mean, the concepts are kind of different, you know. Like this is what makes it sometimes so challenging. Is because we are used to this idea of, okay, there's a computer, the company runs kind of an app, and I'm just, you know, like coming in and using it, and you always know that they kind of are in charge. So when there's a decentralized system, people look for who's in charge.
Yeah.
Right? They want to always blame someone, or they want to always say fix it, or can you not, and can you not. And then when you tell them, hey, for example, I lost my tokens, could you just bring them back? And you have to tell them like we can't.
Yeah.
That doesn't compute
Yeah.
in people's minds, you know. Or I lost my key, can't you recover my account? Like now we can build this, you know. Now we can have this mix between, you know, having someone that can recover your account, or you only are able to recover your account alone. Or there's third-party systems that are still decentralized that can recover your account. We can now build this stuff, but in the past, in blockchain it was like you are in control, and if you lose it, it's gone.
Yeah.
In the Web 2, it was someone else is in control, and if they don't like you, you're fucked.
Yeah. No, that's the journey.
It's a very different, you know, way of how stuff works, and it took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2013, when I learned about Bitcoin, every month of that year, I thought I understood Bitcoin. I had this revelation, this aha moments all the time.
Yeah.
Only then to realize that I still didn't fully get it. Yeah. It took me a while to get it.
Yeah.
Also.
Do you see Bitcoin actually becoming and growing bigger and bigger and bigger over the years to come? Like, do you see that $1 million Bitcoin that everyone keeps talking about? Or
I mean, somehow, once something has like a network effect, it keeps rolling. Even though, and if you look at Bitcoin, it's technically very outdated. It does fulfill the purpose of store value, I would say. Not necessarily as a medium of transaction, but as a store of value. As long as people believe in it, so it will probably grow, and it will continue to be there. It's not necessarily the foundation for a decentralized future internet. It's just that kind of store value thing.
Yeah.
At best, you can make a bit of a payment system out of it, but with all of these side chains and layer 2s and whatever, payment networks, it hasn't happened yet. So it's a useful thing, definitely, but programmable chains is the real deal. Ethereum,
Yeah.
LUKSO is Ethereum.
Yeah.
EVM chains in general.
Solana?
Yeah, I mean, it's the more centralized version of that, but it's also a programmable chain. So
Right. Who do you think Satoshi is?
I don't know. I personally think it probably was potentially like,
Do you think as a group or as an individual?
It was a few people potentially, and it was I assume it was these early, cryptographic guys, like the guy who died, I forgot the name. And maybe Greg Wright was his friend. And that's why he also wants to claim that he was that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't even care,
Yeah.
I don't think it's important to know.
Right. It's the concept, it's the vision, the whole idea around decentralization and owning your wallet, owning your identity, which is the next version, which is LUKSO.
That's the missing piece in the internet.
Yeah.
Right? Without us controlling our own digital identities and digital accounts, we're always at the mercy of some, company, of someone, of something.
Yeah.
So that's why what we need to have is LUKSO become extremely decentralized, so it means more validators and more distribution, and people are using it and building it as your internet account foundation.
Yeah.
And then the sky's the limit.
Right. Why do you think the truth is important in general?
The truth itself. I mean, on the end, I think we need verifiable and transparency.
Yeah.
We need to have the ability to understand what is happening in the world, what's really happening, and what is being said it's happening. And on the end, it's not about saying this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. It's more about giving the transparency to things, and then people can make their own pick.
Right.
And probably likely they will learn the world is more gray than black and white. And that both sides have perspectives. They are right. And then we need to find middle grounds and need to find a way of how we can negotiate and find solutions to problems rather than trying to blame people and say, okay, if we need to be very childish 5-year-olds that need to fight until the end on the playground.
Yeah. And this truth will be more and more seen on the DApps that get built on these decentralized social.
I mean, we can literally build decentralized journalism. We can build more verifiable things. I mean, you can now envision a journalist, a photographer, someone on the ground having universal profiles. The things they do, they sign.
Yeah.
So now you have a verifiable source to where it comes from.
Yeah.
You don't need to trust anymore. Hey, when somebody posts a video, it's like, yeah, it's from here, it's from here, it's from here. Everybody says something else, and then you don't know, is it really from there? Is it not? You need to make this verifiable. We can sign data. We can sign messages.
Yeah.
Your profiles can hold the keys to, or at least reference to the keys that sign that. So now you can make everything verifiable. You can create a more truthful journalism as well, yeah?
Yeah, and then also have co-authors as well, right? Like, if I want to give credit to my videographer and my cinematographer, and all this can be shown, and
yeah, I mean everybody should have a universal profile eventually,
and they
right?
can be part of that, even monetization sort of split. I mean, this is the future for sure, and I mean, this office will probably be looked at years from now and realize, something that changed the world was built here in the home of Berlin. So, insane.